Okay, good morning everyone. Maayong buntag Central Visayas, maayong buntag sa atong mga regional directors around, especially to RD Ricky and Director Leo, and the rest of the regional DTP team headed by Sir Gerson, and of course to our partners in the nation building, our local government units, from special mention to Cebu Province, okay, with 44 municipalities. Of course, we have Bohol Province and with 47 municipalities, and our friends from Negros Oriental with 19 municipalities, and our Siquijor Province with 6 municipalities, and likewise our greetings to our 16 cities in Central Visayas. Good morning, everyone. In behalf of our principals from Department of Finance, allow me to present the national revenue estimates for 2022 to 2024. Okay, please understand that the materials, the presentation materials, has been prepared by the DOF and presented during the national orientation on the preparation of local government unit devolution transition plan last July 29, 2021. Okay, so these are the expected estimates using the 2-year growth rate, and clearly this can be used by our LGUs as our basis in the planning and budgeting processes. Likewise, it is very important to fix our eyes on here because this is the essence of the Mandanas ruling. All right. So I'll proceed now to the medium-term revenue program or the 3-year revenue program of the national government. If you look at the table, it is expressed in peso. So I would like just to remind everyone that these are preliminary and subject to change. Okay. So the annual growth rate for year 2022 to 2024 are based on historical data on the actual collections for years 2019 and 2020. Okay, so based on the figures and facts, by looking at the table, it can be gleaned that the national government in 2019 generated a total revenues of 3137.5 billion pesos, or equivalent to 16.1% of the GDP. Okay? And that revenues, the total revenues, comprise of the tax revenues and the non-tax revenues. So for tax revenues, it generated 2827.7 billion pesos, or equivalent to 14.5% of the GDP. So the tax revenues were sourced out from the collections of the BIR, with the highest collection of the BIR with 2175.5 billion pesos, from the Bureau of Customs with 630.3 billion pesos, and other collecting offices with 21.8 billion pesos. However, for non-tax revenues, the national government were able to generate 309.8 billion pesos, around 1.6% of the GDP rather. So compare that to the collection or the actual revenue generation made by the national government in 2020, you can observe that it really fall. Okay, so in 2029, from 3 billion, it dropped to 2.856 billion pesos. So this is around 15.9% of the GDP. So this was the total revenues comprising the tax revenues and non-tax revenues. And the tax revenues, if you notice, it also dropped by almost 300 billion pesos. Okay, so the tax revenues composing the total collection or revenues in 2020 is only 2504.4 billion pesos, or around 14% of the GDP. Okay, and these were sourced out from the BIR with 1951 billion pesos, the Bureau of Customs with 537.7 billion pesos, and other collecting offices with 15.7. However, if you notice, the non-tax revenues yield a higher collection compared that of 2019 with 351.5 billion pesos, representing 2.0% of the GDP. Okay, so using the mathematical derivation of the elasticity estimate, here is now the national revenue forecast for 2022 to 2024. So in 2022, the national government expect to generate around 3.89.5 billion pesos or 14.9% of the GDP. And this will be sourced out from the tax revenues and the non-tax revenues. We understand that when we say tax revenues, these are collections from the BIR, BOC, and other offices. So BIR, we expect collection from BIR of 2434.8 billion pesos, while the BOC, the national government expect generate revenue collection from BOC of 67.7 billion pesos and other offices of 18.5 billion pesos. While for non-tax revenue, the national government expect 164.5 billion pesos or 0.7% of the GDP. And same program or approach that we apply in 2023, that the national government will source out, okay, or expect a collection or revenue generation by 3586.4 billion pesos or around 14.8% of the GDP, okay, sourced out from the tax revenues and the non-tax revenues. Okay, so the non-tax revenues is expected to yield at 166.5 billion pesos or around 0.7% of the GDP. Okay, so in 2024, So in 2024, the national government program for a total revenues of 3999.3 billion pesos or 15.1% of the GDP. Okay? This will be sourced out through the tax revenues and non-tax revenues. Okay? So for tax revenues, expected to collect were the BIR, BOC, and other collecting agencies, okay, with 3830.7 billion pesos or equivalent to 14.4 of the GDP. Okay, while the non-tax revenues expected forecast, okay, or estimate to yield at 168.7 billion pesos or 0.6% of the GDP. Okay, all right. Okay, so bakit kailangan natin yung computation of the national allotment or the NTA base? Okay, so according to the Supreme Court ruling on the Mandanas Garcia cases, it states that the national tax allotment shall be computed based on the national taxes collected in cash by the national government, such as the BIR, the Bureau of Customs, and other offices, as reconciled with the Bureau of Treasury. And of course, this excludes the following. Please take note of this. Tax collections that accrue to special purpose funds and special allotments for the utilization and development of the national wealth. Another exclusion to the computation of the national tax allotment is the non-tax collection of the BIR, the Bureau of Customs, and of course other collecting agencies such as the fees and charges, the penalties, the rental payments, and of course the sale of military bases converted into alienable lands. All right. So to borrow the exact wording from the Supreme Court decision on the exclusion of special purpose funds and special allotments for the utilization and development of the national wealth, and I quote, okay, orders the Secretary of Department of Finance, the Secretary of Department of Budget and Management, the Commissioner of Internal Revenue, the Commissioner of Customs, and the National Treasurer to include all collections of national taxes in the computation of the base of the just share of the local government units according to the ratio provided in the now modified Section 284 of the Republic Act number 7160 or the Local Government Code, except those accruing to the special purpose funds and special allotments for the utilization and development of the national wealth. So very clear yung wording from the Supreme Court. So let us try to dissect ano ba yung mga allowable deductions as against BIR collections, particularly collections in 2020 onwards. So let us take a look. Okay, so the following are allowable deductions: the non-tax revenues. Okay. Second, the informer's rewards. Third, the documentary stamps on government securities. And of course, yung tax expenditure fund. Okay? O, andito na tayo ngayon. Yung tax collections for special funds and special accounts. So, ano-ano ba itong mga special funds at saka yung special accounts? So, number one, yung 75 share of the Bangsamoro government from the national taxes, fees, and charges collected in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or the BARM, because this is covered under Republic Act number 11054. Okay? So another collection considered to be a special fund is the 25% share of the national government from the national taxes or the fees and charges collected in the BARM accruing to the Bangsamoro government for the first 10 years starting calendar year 2020 under Republic Act number 11054. All right. So another special funds, okay, that is allowed to be deducted as against BIR collection is the 40% share from excise tax on minerals, mineral products, and quarry resources under Republic Act number 7160. All right. So there are still more. Okay. So another deductions against BIR collections is the share from value-added tax in lieu of franchise tax on racetrack operations under Republic Act number 7953 and 8407. Okay? So also the 20% or 50% share from the incremental collection of the value-added tax under Republic Act number 7643. Okay? So also part of the allowable deduction is the shares accruing to the province of Cagayan and the municipalities affected by the zone declaration and the CESA under Republic Act number 7922. Okay? Likewise, yung 15% share of the provinces producing Virginia tobacco. Okay? These are excise tax collection on locally manufactured Virginia type cigarettes, of course, but not to exceed 17 billion pesos, okay, because this is covered under Republic Act number 11346. Okay? So another allowable deductions, the 5% share of the provinces that produce barley and native tobacco from excise tax collected on tobacco products but not to exceed 4 billion pesos. Okay? This is covered under RA number 11346. All right. Okay. So another is the 50% share from the excise tax revenues on sweetened beverages for health under RA number 11346, amending RA number 10963. Okay? So, all right. So, meron pa. Okay? So, another is the 50% share from excise tax revenues on tobacco products for health under Republic Act number 11346, amending RA number 10963. All right? So, another allowable deduction is the 100% share from excise tax revenues, particularly on alcohol products, okay, for health and SDGs under Republic Act number 11467, amending RA number 11346. 4146. Okay? So another allowable deduction is the 100% share from excise tax revenues on heated tobacco products and vapor products for health and SDGs under Republic Act 11467 amending RA 11346. Okay? Likewise, yung 1% BIR share from the excise tax on locally manufactured Virginia type cigarettes and tariff duties on imported leaf tobacco under RA number 5447. All right. Of course, yung shares accruing to the Special Education Fund and the Tobacco Fund from locally manufactured Virginia type cigarettes and the tariff duties on imported leaf tobacco under RA number 4155 and 5447. Okay? Likewise, yung shares accruing to the Cultural Center of the Philippines and Tobacco Inspection Fund under RA number 2613 as amended by RA 3175. All right? Okay? O, meron pa. So, 25% of the premium tax collected accruing to the insurance fund of the Insurance Commission under Section 418 of the Presidential Decree number 612 as amended. Okay. So another allowable deductions against BIR collection for 2020 is the annual block grant for the BARM, okay, under Republic Act 1104054. Okay. So another is the incremental revenues from the train law, okay, earmarked to various programs for 5 years starting 2018 under RA number 10963. Okay. Likewise, all other future tax collections accruing to special purpose, both for the account of the LGUs and other agencies of the government as determined by law, as well as the special allotments for the utilization and development of the national wealth. Okay? And finally, yung 0.5% of 1% of the net general fund for the share of the Commission on Audit under PD number 1445. So napakarami po yung allowable deduction as against BIR collection. Baka magsabi yung mga governors at saka mayors natin, naubos na lahat pag-deduct. So ano na yung ibibigay? Okay, so there are still more. So what about yung collections from the Bureau of Customs? Ano ba yung mga allowable deductions? So first, yung non-tax revenue, sinabi na doon sa Mandanas ruling. Likewise, yung tax expenditure fund. Okay? So ito na yung mga tax collection covered, sinasabi na special funds or considered to be a special accounts. Okay? So number 1, yung all duties collected from the importation of agricultural products accruing to the agricultural competitiveness enhancement fund. Okay? This is covered under Republic Act number 9496. Okay? And RA number 10848 and 11203. Okay? Likewise, yung share of the Philippine Sports Commission, okay, from all taxes collected on imported athletic equipment. Okay? This is covered under RA number 6847. Okay? Likewise, yung share from the safeguard duties under RA number 8800. Okay? Of course, yung duties from the rice tariffication law for the first 6 years of the effectivity of RA number 11203. Okay? Another allowable deduction is the incremental revenues from train law, okay, which is earmarked to various programs for 5 years starting 2018 under RA 10963. Okay? So, meron pa. Okay? So, another is the 50% share from excise tax revenues on sweetened beverages for health covered under RA number 11346. Okay? So another is the 50% share from excise tax revenues on tobacco products for health under RA number 11346. So another allowable deduction is the 100% share from excise tax revenues on heated tobacco products and vapor products for health and is digits under RA number 11467. Okay? Likewise, yung annual block grant for BARM under RA number 11054. Okay? And all other future tax collections accruing to special purpose funds, both for the account of the LGUs and other agencies of the government as determined by law, and as well as special allotments for the utilization and development of the national wealth. All right. Okay. Okay, sige. So, what about yung allowable deductions against collection from other collecting agencies or other offices from 2020? Okay? So, the following are considered to be collection for special funds or special accounts and should be deducted against collection before computation of the national tax allotment. Okay, number one, yung 100% MVUC tax collections by the Land Transportation Office, which is earmarked to the Department of Public Works and Highways and the Department of Transportation under Republic Act numbers 8794. Okay? So another deduction is the travel tax collections by the Tourism Infrastructure and Enterprise Zone Authority, or TIEZA. Okay, this is formerly the Philippine Tourism Authority, okay, because 40% of which shall be earmarked to the Commission on Higher Education under Republic Act number 7722 as amended by RA number 9593. Okay? And 10% of which shall be earmarked to the National Commission on the Culture and the Arts under RA number 7356 as amended by RA number 9596. Okay? And of course, yung 40% share of LGUs from forest charges under Republic Act number 7160. Okay? So another is the 100% of collection from the fire code under Republic Act 9514, because 20% of which shall be earmarked to the local government units. Okay? And 80% shall be earmarked for the modernization of the Bureau of Fire Protection, and number 5, all other future tax collections of similar natures. So having said that, let us take a look on how national tax allotment is computed. So if we take, looking at the screen, okay, we have example here using the actual collections in 2019. Okay, so we're able to compute the national tax allocation for 2019 collection. Okay, so in 2019, the BIR were able to collect 175.5 billion pesos, while the Bureau of Customs collected 630.31 billion pesos, and other offices collected 22.69 billion pesos, a total of 2828.51 billion pesos. Okay? So, going back to the deduction, billion pesos, while the BOC have 145.96 billion pesos, and other offices have 22.44 billion pesos. So,
sorry.
Okay. So, okay. So, having said all of those enumerations, yung mga allowable deductions, so let us try looking at the screen, yung illustrations, how we arrive at the national tax allocation. So, using the figures in 2019 actual revenue generated by the national government, so particularly BIR generated 175.5 billion pesos, while that of the Bureau of Customs 630.31 billion pesos, and other offices with 22.69 billion pesos, with total revenue collected for 2019 of 2828.51. Okay, so while total deductions With the BIR, merong 262.50 billion pesos, and the Bureau of Customs will have 145.96 billion pesos, and the other officers or other collecting agencies have 22.44 billion pesos. The total deductions of 430.91 billion pesos. So all in all, the total tax collection, okay, is 2,397.6 billion pesos. In other words, this is the base now to compute the national tax allotment na sinasabi ni Director Ricky kanina, na 40% of the net tax collection will be the basis on the computation of our national tax allotment. So in other words, if we have if our basis is the 2019 tax collection, so the national tax allotment for 2019 is 959.04 billion pesos. So I think that is all for the revenue forecast for the Department of Finance. So I thank you all for listening. God bless everyone.